The Giants were right there with you, and they won today, so they dropped behind you. And again, the Cardinals have played that one extra game, so you can still catch them. Here's the updated, again, that's the top 5 in the draft order. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams, is he worth the baggage, we ask? Yesterday, USC lost. They lost again for the 5th time this season, 5th time in 6 games. And a couple weeks ago, Caleb Williams, he ran into his mother's lap, heaved, then met the media and said he just wants to go home and watch his shows and cuddle up with his dog. This time, Caleb Williams just didn't meet the media. He just ducked out and didn't speak post-game. So as we bring it back here, Bert, should that be a further warning sign about Caleb Williams?
I think it definitely causes further inspection because as an NFL quarterback, you're literally the face of the organization. You're more prominent than the owner. You're more prominent than the head coach. And in a lot of cases, when things go wrong, you're the person who has to stand up there, or else, if you're young, your older teammates are going to have to answer for you. So this isn't a great sign. That said, like everything I've heard on the kid is that he's beloved in that program, that he's a good kid. His dad might be a little bit more of a problem than he is. But, I mean, there are other quarterbacks who've been in that situation, too. Patrick Mahomes has a lot of stuff going on around him. He's been able to manage.
Sorry, red flag. That's the NFL teams are going to ask him about that specifically. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you talk after the UCLA game? They'll be specific about it, and he'll have to have an answer for him. So based on just, look, the emotions, having emotions is fine, but when you display them like they did a couple of weeks ago in public like that, I get a little bit nervous. And then not talking after a difficult loss to your rival, to me, is going to be a red flag, Bert.
This felt like grandstanding to me.
What do you mean, grandstanding?
Well, if somebody took a picture of him crying in the tunnel, I would have had no problem with it. Like, I wouldn't have thought anything of it, and I don't think anybody else would either.
Absolutely not.
You expect him to take a loss hard. Like, I don't have any problem with a guy crying after a loss. It's like the self-awareness. He knew every camera was going to be on him, and he still went and did that. Like, so why did you do that? Like, you could have met your parents in the tunnel and had your moment there, and if people catch you crying there.
So you think that was a put-on?
I just don't, I think it's avoidable. And I think when you're that prominent a quarterback, remember, he was a quarterback at Oklahoma starting as a true freshman, the starting quarterback at USC the last 2 years. He has to know anytime he's in that Stadium Bowl, every camera is going to be on him. Why couldn't he meet his parents after the game in the tunnel?
Maybe he couldn't help himself.
I would say not talking to the media after this loss is almost worse.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's almost worse because you gotta get people, guys that can't handle losing and they handle it that way, that don't want to talk to the media. Mm-hmm. To me, that is a question mark on their character and whether or not they're good leaders. And so that, if I'm a team interested in Caleb Williams, I'm asking him about why not you didn't talk about after that loss to UCLA more than I am about crying on your mom's shoulder.
Okay, tell me about these other guys. Bert, it's so early. We're not even at Thanksgiving. We're talking about the NFL draft, but that's what happens when you suck. The kid at USC, Penix, you tell me.
Yeah, so Drake Maye is definitely.
UNC is what I meant to say.
Yeah, North Carolina. Drake Maye is definitely the number 2 guy. Would be the number 1 pick in a lot of drafts. I've heard him compared to Joe Burrow by scouts. Some people think he's a little bit more like Justin Herbert. He is a top-level prospect, and he comes from a great pedigree. His brother was a power forward on the North Carolina basketball team. His dad was a quarterback in North Carolina. He'd be the number 1 pick in a lot of drafts that don't have Caleb Williams in it. So these 2 guys are 2 top-end guys. Then there's about a half dozen guys that teams are going to have to sort through. Michael Penix, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Quinn Ewers. There are a lot of guys in there that I think teams are still sorting through. Jaden Daniels, the other one from LSU. So there's numbers in this year's class too, which is interesting.
You see anyone you like to?
I'm kind of in favor. I like Bo Nix, but I like his profile. When I look at a guy, this is his 5th year, 3 years he was at Auburn. He transferred to Oregon. That shows a guy that's dedicated, that loves football, that wants to be a football player, and he's gotten better and better every year he's played, and he's having an outstanding season. 35 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's 10-1. He did lose to Washington, but he's a little bit undersized. But I just like the profile of Bo Nix at Oregon.